Hello there. There are two people at the head of the US administration, and only one half of one of them is ever able to turn up. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And when subscribing, please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications. Now, the basic question I have is, where are the US President Joe Biden and his Vice President Kamala Harris? And why is no one chasing them down? How come only the body of Joe Biden can come forward, absent the grey matter in the head? And where is that grinning sidekick of his to help answer all the difficult questions over this hideous Afghanistan atrocity? It looks to me like the US has no commander-in-chief and no chain of command. So who is giving all these woefully misguided orders? Who is the one content to stand by and watch a whole country slip back into the 7th century within a matter of days? Even 3 weeks ago, the Telegraph was reporting that the Vice President was sinking so low in the ratings that it was alarming the whole of the Democrat Party. And a week before that, the Evening Standard was asking if the Biden-Harris political honeymoon was over. And in the weeks since those reports, I would surmise that, barring some miracle, she's never going to recover her political reputation, if she ever had one. And as for the President, as far as I'm aware, he's twice given a statement to the press, then walked away without answering their questions. Being Commander-in-Chief means showing courage and leadership. He's shown neither. I've worked with US service people, and they were always bursting with pride for their country, their uniform, and their Commander-in-Chief. But I wonder about that latter one now. And it's not as if Kamala Harris is showing any of the required characteristics for a potential president-in-waiting in the wings, is it? Or are they doing a Theresa May with her, keeping her under wraps and saying nothing, just in case she cocks it all up before stepping in to replace an obviously befuddled President Biden? Yesterday, the New York Post was reporting that Harris had not been seen in public for 6 days and said, "While President Biden and key members of his national security team have borne the brunt of criticism and outrage over the swift fall of Afghanistan to the Taliban and the scenes of chaos and carnage as Americans and Afghans attempt to get out of the country, Vice President Kamala Harris has kept a conspicuously low profile." And she has not been seen by Biden's side either. Then when Joe Biden is seen in public, he's either refusing to talk or snapping back at reporters. And when he said of the deaths of Afghans falling into Kabul airport after clinging to US aircraft as they took off, he said, as if it didn't matter, that that was days ago, 5 days ago. Well, and I remember the left here in the UK when Biden won the US presidential election and ousted Donald Trump. The left was cock-a-hoop, wasn't it? Especially as he had a non-white female vice president. Just shows you the type of people the left support, doesn't it? And I wonder how many Labour and Lib Dem MPs have quietly got their staffers going back through their social media accounts right now so as to expunge that Biden supporting record. Might be worth getting some screen grabs and putting them out with the usual, "This hasn't aged well, has it?" Anyway, I wonder when Kamala Harris will be emerging from her self-imposed, or maybe handler-imposed, self-isolation, and how she will try to ingratiate herself back into the good books of the US public. If she was ever there in the first place, that is. Well, it has been announced that she's off on foreign jaunts, with the Gateway pundit saying that she's bailing out and that Kamala Harris will travel to East Asia on Friday to visit Singapore and Vietnam, of all places. And she continues to shy away from the collapse of Afghanistan. What complete cluelessness. while Fox News waded in with, "The timing probably couldn't be worse for the Biden administration. On Friday, Vice President Kamala Harris is scheduled to embark on a trip across the Pacific that will include a stop in Vietnam." What a choice of optics. Maybe she sniffs a photo opportunity of being airlifted off the roof of the US Embassy in Ho Chi Minh City, formerly Saigon. But after this episode and their inability to control any part of it, I don't think either of them will ever be held in anything but contempt by their own armed forces personnel. Now, do you want to know what our guys and girls on the ground in Kabul are up to? Well, keep watching. But first, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Patreon, PayPal and Super Thanks supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug with my mug on it, links in the descriptions box below. You really do help me keep this channel going. Reports are coming in that UK forces on the ground are doing a sterling job in backing up the UK ambassador, Sir Laurie Bristow, who has bravely stayed in place to help the evacuation effort. And he recently published a video saying that his team were putting everything they can into the rescue effort as it entered such a critical phase. But our armed forces are reported to be going out on patrols and picking up stranded UK citizens from safe houses, as well as those Afghans who are most at risk, to get them safely back to the airport to be airlifted out. And this has caused friction with the US forces, who are refusing to emulate it. Now, I don't know how true this is, but it's also reported that this led to a UK paratroop commander and a US 82nd Airborne commander to resort to a screaming slanging match. And the British troops are said to be extremely unhappy at how the US has treated the Afghans. The US, I hear, claimed they were unhappy that the Brits might muck up a deal that US commanders had made with the Taliban. But their US troops want to get stuck in and help the Brits and go out on their own rescue missions. And then came out reports that the UK had tasked the 2nd Parachute Regiment to keep a beady eye on their US counterparts in case they opted to leave the theatre early. The trust on the ground between the UK and US seems to mirror the trust at political level, or lack of it. And all the while evidence of Taliban atrocities mount and Afghan civilians suffer. And when the full horror of these come out over the coming weeks and months, we should all hold our political leaders to account. This erosion in trust does not bode well for the future and will be something our enemies will latch onto with glee. And as an aside, from what I can see, there are now far more Western troops in Afghanistan today than there were a month ago. But that will be wound down in the coming weeks, to an official 0, if you get my drift. Now, Joe Biden did appear on ABC News and was asked by George Stephanopoulos about the resurgence of the Al-Qaeda threat via Afghanistan. Stephanopoulos asked whether the intelligence assessment that Al-Qaeda could be back there within 18 months to 2 years was right, or could it happen earlier? Biden replied by saying, "There's a significantly greater threat to the United States from Syria. There's a significantly greater threat from East Africa. There's significant greater threat to other places in the world than it is from the mountains of Afghanistan. And we have maintained the ability to have an over-the-horizon capability to take them out. We don't have military in Syria to make sure that we're going to be protected." Although it appears that there are still 900 or so US troops, including Green Berets, deployed in Syria. But if the intelligence said that it would take until the end of the year for the Taliban to take Kabul, and they did it in 2 weeks, then getting Al-Qaeda up and running in a Taliban-run country will be a breeze. So give it until Christmas, maybe. So what's your opinion on the Biden-Harris partnership of chaos? Please like and comment below.